Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Toast. So the Xbox Series is just absolutely killing right now. I think it's been pretty evident for a while that the Xbox Series, it's going to be much more competitive this generation, but interestingly enough, it just broke a new record. Yes, it is doing very well, and when you start to think about where this brand was just 5 years ago, it is absolutely astounding what they're doing. So we're going to talk about that later on in the video, and then also we will talk about a couple of big PlayStation updates, including PlayStation Plus, which seems to be doing a little bit more than what we previously expected. Very interesting stuff, so make sure to stay tuned for all of that. Per usual though, if you do find yourself enjoying the video, go and hit that like button below as it does help out the channel a ton. Plus go and hit that bell notification and subscribe button as well. That way you can keep up to date with all of the latest gaming news. Other than that though, let's just go and get right into the video, starting off with Diablo Immortal. Now, if you remember Diablo Immortal, this is a game that was, I believe, announced at a BlizzCon a couple years back, and this game was not received all that well. This was previously announced as a mobile-only game, which is not exactly what the Diablo community wanted. Now, to be fair, I don't think that Diablo Immortal looks bad or anything. I think it looks okay for what it is. But again, at the same time, this is not what the community wanted, so a lot of fans left this event very, very disappointed. Well, the thing is that Blizzard has now confirmed a release date for Diablo Immortal, which will be on June 2nd, but interestingly enough, they also for the first time confirmed that Diablo Immortal will also launch simultaneously on PC as well with cross-play. Now, they did note that the PC version would be an open beta, as this game really was designed for mobile in mind. And that's kind of the thing here, because the reason that they decided to do this is because apparently, in the end, they said that the deciding factor was that we knew many of you would attempt to play this game through an emulator, thus leading us towards building a better experience. So definitely an amusing preemptive move here by Blizzard, but I do think that this will make a lot more people optimistic about Diablo Immortal. Again, I don't think it necessarily looks like a bad game. It's just not typically what your hardcore Diablo fan wants. And while Diablo Immortal probably still won't be as in-depth as something like Diablo 4 per se, at the same time, with them now releasing on the PC as well, I think that it will draw a little bit more interest than what there was prior. So I do think that this is a good move by Blizzard, and if you are interested in checking this game out, again, it will release on June 2nd for both mobile as well as PC through open beta. Next up, it is starting to look like that Last of Us remake for the PlayStation 5 is a very real thing after all. Now, this has been in the rumor mill for a little while, as Bloomberg last year did report that a Last of Us remake is in development. And well, today we actually got more evidence of just that. If you take a look over here at the report from Video Game Chronicles, you can see that a Naughty Dog quality assurance tester has listed an unannounced remake project on his LinkedIn profile. According to his online resume, Corey Hong has worked at the Santa Monica, California-based studio since 2019, doing QA work on The Last of Us Part 2, Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection, and 2 unannounced projects, one a remake and the other a multiplayer title. Now, based off of some of the information that we already currently have, we can actually make some educated guesses here as to what these 2 unannounced titles are. The multiplayer game, this is very possibly going to be Factions for The Last of Us Part 2. We do know for an absolute fact that they are working on a multiplayer game mode, and by this point, we're just kind of waiting to know when it will release. So this is more than likely what multiplayer game he is referring to here. As for the remake, this one has not officially been confirmed, but thanks again to that Bloomberg report last year, there's a good chance that this remake is indeed The Last of Us, as that report originally indicated. And we've also heard from other insiders as well that this very much is happening. So this is just kind of more evidence that The Last of Us will indeed be remade for the PlayStation 5, which, based off of the community's reactions that I have seen so far, I know not everybody's necessarily going to agree with this. There is that ongoing question. Does this game truly need a remake? And I do completely understand that, because it's not all that old. It already has a remaster on the PlayStation 4, and it still looks good to this day. At the same time, though, we have seen the advancements that Naughty Dog has made with The Last of Us Part 2, especially with the animations. So if they can do that with the original Last of Us, and because this game is viewed as a masterpiece and it's just so beloved, no, I don't think that it's necessarily the most deserving game of a remake right now, but at the same time, I mean, it's still a really good game, and I guess we'll just have to kind of see how this works out, because as of this moment, it is very much looking like a real thing. All right, so let's go and start talking about the NPD results for the month of March, where we can see how well each game and console was sold for the month in the United States. And this was a very interesting month for a few different reasons. Yes, Xbox did break a new record, but also Elden Ring did something very special as well. We'll kind of get into that here in just a moment. But first, actually, let's take a look at what Xbox is doing here. Matt Piscatella over on Twitter did say that the Xbox Series was the best-selling hardware platform of both March of 2022 and the first quarter in dollars, while Switch led both time periods in unit sales. Then he went on to say that Xbox hardware unit and dollar sales in March of 2022 set new all-time March highs for the platform. Previous Xbox bests were set in March of 2011 in terms of units and March of 2014 in terms of dollars. So, yes, Xbox had a very big month, and this goes actually beyond just the United States. We were actually seeing very similar things in the UK as well, and then over in Europe. So here we are seeing the Xbox Series outsell the PlayStation 5 in the United States. But here recently, they also outsold them in the UK as well as Europe even, which is a very rare thing for the Xbox to do. And when you really start to think about just how impressive this is, I mean, if you go back 5 years into 2017, there was a very real question of whether or not we would ever see another Xbox console again. I mean, there was that report going around that they were seriously thinking about just hanging things up, but here comes Phil Spencer, and he has just turned everything around. He's gotten Satya Nadella on his team, and they right now are all in on gaming to the point that they are now willing to spend $70 billion on Activision Blizzard. It is absolutely crazy just how far Xbox has come. I think that this is really the first time in Xbox history that Xbox has the full backing of Microsoft as a company, and now we're kind of seeing their hard work pay off here. The Xbox Series, without a doubt, is just a complete turnaround of what the Xbox One was, and we are seeing just how competitive they can be this generation. Now, at the same time, it's always kind of important to keep in mind that a lot of this right now is being dictated by supply problems. It's been absolutely no secret that both the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series has had some pretty serious supply problems this generation, and right now we're especially seeing that with the PlayStation 5. Sales have majorly halted over on the PlayStation 5 side of things because of supply problems. So things might be a little different if both of them just had infinite amount of supply, but that's just not how things are currently right now. Hopefully we start to see that improve in the future, but one thing that is starting to become a little bit more apparent as of recent months is that it does seem like Xbox is getting more supply as of this moment. Now, there was that rumor kind of floating around earlier this year that Microsoft might have paid for chip priority, and I mean, it is starting to look like that might actually be the case because they are getting a lot more supply, it seems. So on one side, it looks like maybe Microsoft has fixed some of the supply problems, not completely. I mean, this console is still selling out, but it does seem like that they are doing a better job getting as much supply out as they possibly can. Either way, though, big congrats to Xbox and just their turnaround this generation with the Xbox Series. I think this is just such a great time for all gamers involved, whether you play on the Nintendo Switch, Xbox, or PlayStation 5. I think that all three has a lot to be happy about this generation, and as I always like to say, competition breeds excellence, and I think that this is going to be a truly excellent generation for everybody involved. Now, as for software, for the second month in a row, Elden Ring was the best-selling game in the United States. Now, this is really special because, as Matt Piscatella did point out over on Twitter, he said that Elden Ring is showing an inverse decay curve, which is rare to say the least. Very strong word of mouth, a true blockbuster. Now, if you don't know what an inverse curve is, he actually clarified what this means a little later on by saying that usually game sales follow a somewhat normalized demand curve that starts high and falls over time. Sometimes, and it's very rare, a game will see higher sales in the months following launch. So instead of sales decaying, decay curve, they grow. So that's what's happening with Elden Ring, which is absolutely astounding. It's already been revealed that Elden Ring has sold 12 million units so far, but what's kind of amazing about all of this is that right now it is putting up Call of Duty type of numbers. And the thing about Elden Ring kind of making it to the mainstream market, the reason that it's so amazing is just because of how different this game is from other games that have this type of success. Here you have this brutally challenging game. It doesn't try to be flashy with its cinematics or its storytelling. It doesn't hold your hand, and it's just designed so differently from what other games in the market are. But all at the same time, that's what makes it so special. Because of From Software's amazing game design and challenging gameplay, they just continue to win gamers over. We've really seen that since the release of Demon's Souls way back on the PlayStation 3. They just continue to grow their fan base with each individual game, and we are once again seeing that happen with Elden Ring in a very, very big way. I could not be any more happy about this, so big congrats to From Software. Let's go and talk about PlayStation though, as we do have a couple of big updates to talk about today, one of which is a highly anticipated PlayStation 5 feature that fans have been asking for quite a while, being variable refresh rate, or otherwise known as VRR. Now, if you don't know what VRR is, as long as you do have a VRR capable monitor or TV, this allows you to kind of smooth out the frame rate for games that does not have a locked frame rate. Let's say if your game kind of hovers between 50 to 60 frames per second, then VRR will kind of allow you to smooth that frame rate out. It is actually a game-changing feature, as Elden Ring, out of all games, kind of proved just a couple of months ago. For as good of a game as Elden Ring is, unfortunately it also did have some frame rate issues, especially there at launch, and that's where VRR comes in. I can actually say for myself firsthand that VRR does make a major difference. I did buy the Xbox Series X version of Elden Ring because there at launch, Xbox Series X did have VRR support, and I did turn it on and off as playing Elden Ring, and it makes a massive difference. With VRR enabled, I did not notice any type of stuttering whatsoever, but then I turned it off and it was just like, wow, how do you even play this game at all? So it does make a major difference. Again, you do have to have a VRR capable TV or monitor though. The good news here though is that after a long wait, VRR is finally making its way over to the PlayStation 5. It might be a little late, but late is better than never. It is available now, and they did reveal several PlayStation 5 games that will receive a game patch enabling VRR support. I will put a picture here on screen showing you all of those games, but they do note that you can also enable VRR for unsupported games as well. However, if you do experience any type of unexpected visual effects, you can simply turn off this option at any time. So there you have it, VRR has finally made its way over to the PlayStation 5, so this is fantastic news. Now, as for this other update, this is only currently a rumor for the time being, but if you take a look over here at Nibble's post on Twitter, according to game developer sources, Sony is requiring developers to offer timed game trials for PlayStation Plus premium subscribers for games that cost more than $34. Each trial must be 2 hours long. Developers have up to 3 months' time to offer a time trial, and change is not retroactive. So again, this is only currently a rumor as of this moment, but based off of what we're hearing here, I do have some questions. I think that on one side, this sounds very good for consumers that have PlayStation Plus Premium. I mean, if you are a subscriber of PlayStation Plus Premium, you're going to have access to a lot of different game trials, and you're going to be able to figure out if you actually want to purchase the full game or not. At the same time, though, I have to wonder how developers feel about being forced to do a 2-hour game trial. I'm not necessarily convinced that all developers are going to like this idea, as I think some people are going to kind of look at this and think that it might cannibalize sales a little bit here. And on paper, it doesn't really seem like this benefits developers too much. On one side, it's an extra perk for PlayStation Plus, which is good for them, but again, in terms of developers, they're not getting paid anything extra for this. So I do kind of wonder where developers stand on this topic. Maybe we will hear from some different developers in the future if this does indeed end up getting confirmed. But like I said before, it is a pretty nice perk for consumers. Let me know what you all think about this though. Do you like this idea or not? Let me know in the comments below. Let's go and move on over to the poll of the day though, where I asked you all, with the new report of Ubisoft drawing interest in a buyout, who do you think will acquire them if someone does? And based off the results here, 58% of you all believe that Microsoft will acquire Ubisoft. 13% of you all believe that nobody will acquire them. 10% of you all voted for Sony. 10% of you all also voted for other, being equity firm, Tencent, etc. And then 9% of you all voted for Amazon. So there you have it. The majority of you all do believe that Microsoft will somehow pick up Ubisoft. And okay, Microsoft definitely has the money to pick up a company like Ubisoft, and they've also shown that they are willing to pick up some of these big publishers such as Bethesda and now with Activision Blizzard, but that's kind of the thing for me. When I look at what Microsoft is doing, it would surprise me if they also acquired Ubisoft. They're already having kind of a hard time getting Activision Blizzard through all those regulations. So with that going on, I can't imagine that they would also try to pick up another publisher at least anytime soon. Now, if we're talking about after the Activision Blizzard acquisition is complete, if that ends up going through, then I might have a different tune. But as of this moment, I feel like Microsoft probably already has too much going on with the Activision Blizzard acquisition and just getting that through regulations. Still, though, it does seem like a lot of you all believe that Microsoft could be the one to acquire Ubisoft, and I mean, who knows by this point? One thing that I have learned over the last couple years is that it's kind of hard to predict anything when it comes to acquisitions. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.